The Pixar Theory. The Pixar Theory suggests that every single Pixar movie exists in the same universe, connected by a timeline spanning thousands of years. According to this theory, Brave starts it all in medieval Scotland, where magic first enters the world through will-o'-the-wisps. This magic eventually leads to the advanced AI and talking animals that populate later films. The evidence is surprisingly compelling. Cars shows a world where machines have completely replaced humans, while WALL-E reveals humanity abandoned Earth due to corporate pollution from By and Large, the same company whose logo appears in nearly every Pixar film. Monsters, Inc. takes place in a future where evolved animals harvest human emotion for energy. They need children's screams because humans are nearly extinct, surviving only in isolated pockets. Finding Nemo and Up connect through advanced technology, showing the progression from basic AI to full consciousness. The timeline concludes with Good Dinosaur, set in an alternate reality where the asteroid never hit, suggesting the entire Pixar universe might be one possible timeline in an infinite multiverse. When you watch these films knowing they're connected, the shared themes of consciousness, emotion, and environmental destruction create a surprisingly coherent narrative about the relationship between humans, animals, and technology.
James Bond. This theory explains every impossible element of the franchise. How Bond has looked completely different across 6 decades, why he never ages, how he can die and return, and why his personality changes so dramatically between actors. The evidence starts with Skyfall, where we see James Bond tombstones in a Scottish cemetery, suggesting multiple agents have used the identity. Consider the practical advantages. If James Bond dies, the legend continues with a new agent. Enemy organizations can never truly eliminate him because there's always another 007 waiting. The theory explains why other 00 agents have numbers, not names, suggesting the entire program uses constructed identities. M and Q are clearly codenames passed between different individuals, so why wouldn't James Bond work the same way? Even the timeline issues disappear. Craig's Bond isn't a reboot, he's simply the newest agent to inherit the identity. This explains why Judi Dench can play M across different Bond eras, why certain villains recognize Bond despite him looking completely different, and why the character can reference events from previous incarnations without aging. The codename theory transforms Bond from an immortal super spy into something more realistic and terrifying, a government program that creates perfect agents by giving them legendary identities to inhabit. Snowpiercer. Both stories feature elaborate tests designed by an eccentric genius who judges people's moral character through extreme circumstances. Both operate on impossible physics. Wonka's factory has rooms that defy space and time, while Snowpiercer's train contains entire ecosystems that shouldn't fit in a moving vehicle. Wilford and Wonka share childlike wonder combined with ruthless pragmatism, orchestrating elaborate scenarios to test human nature. The timeline works perfectly. Charlie grows up, becomes Wilford, and uses Wonka's technology to build the train when the climate apocalypse hits. The train isn't just transportation, it's Wonka's final experiment, designed to preserve humanity while determining who deserves to survive.
Star Wars. Jar Binks was originally supposed to be the secret Sith Lord controlling the entire prequel trilogy. George Lucas reportedly planned the biggest plot twist in cinema history before fan backlash forced him to abandon the storyline. The evidence is hiding in plain sight. Jar Jar uses suspicious hand gestures that mirror Jedi mind tricks, particularly when influencing Boss Nass. His seemingly clumsy movements follow precise patterns that accidentally benefit the Sith agenda. He's the one who proposes giving emergency powers to Palpatine, the exact moment democracy dies. Ahmed Best has hinted at the abandoned storyline, suggesting the character was meant to be revealed as a master manipulator. The parallels to Yoda are intentional. Both hide their true power behind harmless facades. Lucas modeled Jar Jar's fighting style on drunken boxing, a martial art that disguises deadly technique as stumbling incompetence. The theory explains the prequel's biggest problems. Instead of getting the saga's greatest villain reveal, audiences were left with an annoying comic character whose purpose never becomes clear, creating a narrative dead end that weakened the entire trilogy.
Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing and confessed through hidden messages in The Shining. This theory gained massive traction after the documentary Room 237, which argues that Kubrick was hired by NASA to create convincing lunar footage and spent the rest of his career dropping clues about the deception. The evidence starts with Kubrick's obsessive attention to detail and his groundbreaking work on 2001: A Space Odyssey, which created the most realistic space sequences ever filmed. NASA even consulted with Kubrick during production, establishing their relationship years before the moon landing. The Shining contains dozens of supposed references to the conspiracy. Danny wears an Apollo 11 sweater during key scenes. Room 237 corresponds to the mean distance from Earth to the moon, 237,000 miles. The twins in the hallway represent Gemini 7, the mission that preceded Apollo. Jack's "Here's Johnny" scene reportedly mirrors the lunar module's approach to the moon's surface. The carpet patterns throughout the hotel allegedly represent rocket launch stages, while the impossible window in Ullman's office suggests that nothing in the film should be trusted as real. Kubrick's use of front-screen projection, the same technique that could have created fake lunar footage, appears throughout the movie as a subtle signature. More compelling is Kubrick's behavior after 1969. He became increasingly reclusive, paranoid about government surveillance, and obsessed with themes of deception and hidden truth in his subsequent films. Eyes Wide Shut, his final movie, focuses entirely on secret societies and elite conspiracies, suggesting Kubrick lived his final decades knowing dangerous secrets. Whether true or not, the theory highlights Kubrick's genius for creating multiple layers of meaning that allow audiences to discover new connections with each viewing. Grease. Sandy dies in the opening scene of Grease, and the entire movie is her dying dream on the beach. This theory explains every impossible element through the lens of near-death hallucination. Sandy mysteriously transforms at the end from innocent girl to leather-clad bad girl who perfectly matches Danny's fantasy. Exactly what someone's dying mind might conjure. Students break into elaborate musical numbers in perfect synchronization, and cars transform into flying vehicles, suggesting everything is filtered through idealized memories. The flying car sequence is the biggest clue. Danny and Sandy literally ascend into the clouds together, leaving the earthly realm, representing the soul's journey after death. Grease presents teenage life as an endless summer without real consequences. Exactly the kind of idealized reality someone might imagine while drowning. The theory transforms Grease from a nostalgic musical into a poignant meditation on teenage dreams, lost innocence, and the stories we tell ourselves when facing mortality. Sandy's fantasy becomes her final gift to herself, a perfect summer that exists only in her dying imagination.
Aladdin. Aladdin takes place in a post-apocalyptic future where human civilization has collapsed and rebuilt itself with fragments of the old world. This theory explains every anachronistic element that doesn't belong in ancient Arabia, suggesting the story occurs thousands of years after a nuclear or environmental catastrophe. The evidence is everywhere once you start looking. The genie references modern pop culture, does impressions of 20th century celebrities, and creates objects that shouldn't exist in the ancient world. His 10,000-year imprisonment places his capture around 8000 BCE, but his knowledge extends to the present day, suggesting time moves differently in his magical realm. More telling are the ruins scattered throughout Agrabah. The Cave of Wonders contains technology that surpasses anything from the historical period, including sophisticated holographic displays and automated systems. The Sultan's Palace incorporates architectural elements from multiple civilizations, as if built from salvaged materials. The genie's magic consistently produces modern objects, submarines, cars, television sets, suggesting these items exist in his memory from before the apocalypse. His shape-shifting abilities and vast knowledge could represent an artificial intelligence that survived humanity's collapse, with his lamp serving as a portable data storage device. Even the geography supports the theory. Agrabah exists in an impossible desert that connects to multiple climate zones and civilizations, suggesting continental drift and environmental changes that occurred over geological time periods. The magic carpet's ability to fly anywhere instantly might represent recovered transportation technology that survivors worship as supernatural. The theory reframes Aladdin's story as humanity's attempt to rebuild civilization using remnants of lost knowledge, with the genie serving as both blessing and curse. A reminder of the heights humanity once achieved and the disasters that brought them low. These theories reveal something profound about how we interact with stories.
The best films contain enough detail and internal logic that audiences can discover new meanings years after release, proving that great filmmakers embed layers of truth that transcend their original intentions. Want to explore more